These devlogs have always been about giving you the most honest look behind the scenes I can at the actual experience of making games as a solo developer. So I want to read something that I wrote last week, a few hours after shipping the first playtest build in over a year, while things were still fresh in mind. This is going to be sort of a dramatic reenactment of sorts. So, after that short placeholder devlog, I thought, I need a breather. I'd been pushing myself pretty hard lately to get a build ready by the end of the month, even if I didn't succeed, and Friday would give me enough time that I could take the rest of the day off. I already had someone playtest the new tutorials and it went pretty smoothly aside from 2 bugs I already fixed. All I needed to do was test out the pilot episode challenges, make sure they're working well, spend a little time tweaking all the ingredients and make sure they do what they should, and oh yeah, I need to actually make dishes for the NPCs that aren't randomly generated placeholders. 3 days is plenty of time for all that. So I relaxed a bit, and then I got an idea. The playtester had said something about feeling like he was being handed the win, because the tutorial tells you what to do and then you've won the competition, there's no real challenge. And suddenly I realized how incredibly silly it was that I put all this time and effort into 3 whole worlds for the tutorials, but you just have the 1 tutorial challenge on each. The first 2 whole competitions feel meaningless because all you did to win was follow instructions, and that's your first impression of the game. So I decided to add a second challenge after each tutorial. Then you can put what you've learned to the test and feel like you've actually won something. This suddenly felt like the most important thing to be working on. Was it crazy to pivot just 2 days before an announced release? Yes, but I thought I'd have time. All I'd have to do is script 3 more challenges, write up a little banter for the judges, and, well, I guess handle eliminations a little bit differently. Unfortunately, that became quite a tangent. With only 1 elimination round before the final, it seemed most logical to eliminate the bottom half of contestants. Simple enough, right? But most of the winning and elimination dialogue was hard-coded at the time, and adding another mode was going to get messy. So while I'm at it, I might as well transition to custom scripts per challenge that could be localized later on. But the more time I sunk into this tangent, the more I started to get anxious about whether or not I'd really have enough time for everything. I felt like I was in too deep to turn back now, but as my anxiety grew, it became harder to focus. And then on Thursday, once I started actually testing these new challenges, I had a bit of a panic. The thing is, if I have just a couple of simple criteria, it's easy to get a perfect score. And it feels a bit meaningless if almost every sandwich you can make gives you that perfect score. But I also didn't want to add a bunch of criteria when the first tutorial only covered the very basics. I haven't taught the players how to use the recipe planner yet, so what criteria can I reasonably give to offer some challenge without it being too much at this stage? I had promised to build Friday, and I sank all my time into this crazy last-minute idea of adding new challenges, and now I couldn't even decide what those challenges should be. I was stressed out of my mind and not making much progress. I didn't sleep well either. So when Friday rolled around, I kind of just settled on the idea of shipping what I already had. I fixed most of the bugs I knew about and tweaked scripts a bit, but beyond that it felt like there wasn't enough time, or I didn't have enough mental fortitude to do enough before the end of the day to make much of a difference. So I put a note in the changelog that this was an experimental build. I wanted to lower expectations as if that would somehow absolve me of the shame of releasing a build that I didn't think represented a good game. And I shipped it. And then I made a list of all the most urgent things I feel like I need to update as soon as possible. From adding more challenge criteria to sound effects, the things I'm most embarrassed I didn't get to for this build. And that's my motivation now. The faster I ship the next update, the fewer people will see what I shipped today. That is the truth behind the shipping of Alpha 0.8. 0.81 can't come fast enough, but for now, I need to step away from this and get a good night's sleep. Or at least try to. Well, some time has passed, and I think I figured out how to solve the main problem. I've added some more criteria to the first 2 challenges so that they're not too easy, but I've also moved the planner tutorial to the second challenge, so you're not told step by step what to make, but you're a little bit better prepared to come up with your own dish for the first time, at least if you choose to take a tour of the planner. I'm trying to emphasize that a lot of players will probably have a better time just experimenting through trial and error instead. And I don't necessarily expect everyone to win that challenge on their first try, but one of the first things I want you to learn is to take feedback from the judges and use that to make a better dish if you try again. The original soup tutorial is pretty much unchanged, but the second soup challenge is now getting the pantry tutorial, which is going to be the end of the tutorial experience. That challenge will be the first one you play on the clock, unless of course you're on casual or custom difficulty. The third contest on Akchara, which used to be Mokumfifel, is now going to be something completely different with no tutorials. I was hoping to ship this update today, but I need a little bit more time and I'm just not going to push it, so it might be sometime this weekend or sometime early next week. I have a loose plan of how I'm going to keep adding more contests over the next few weeks in hopes of actually shipping the full game by the end of the year, but I don't want to make any promises on that just yet. So please stay tuned for more updates. In the meantime, it always helps me out if you hit the like button, spread the word, and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, thanks for watching.